Hi, it's Leigh Farnell here. I want to talk to you about something that's so important in business and in coaching and management. It's the area of feedback. But I'm not just talking about any kind of feedback. I'm talking about how do I actually deal with what we might call sensitive feedback. When I say sensitive feedback, I'm talking about things like I've heard today where the manager's a bully, where they actually bully and intimidate people, where they're loud, or in fact where they're sexist, or they're actually talking about their own sex life, about how much they're getting or not getting, or who they find attractive, or who they'd like to get onto or not get on with. You just go, what the hell? Or the fact that they're using humour instead of feedback, like, oh, you're running late. Oh, the person's like 5 minutes late, and oh, you're late again. In fact, what they really mean is, well, you know, I've seen you late a couple of times, but in fact, the person's worked 2 hours late. They're supposed to finish at 5, but they still are at 7:30, or they've been running a meeting after hours. And none of that's ever acknowledged, and it's always what we might call aside and snide remarks. I mean, a person very close to me recently was about to resign from the business because the boss, who in fact was quite overweight and unhealthy themselves, are constantly going, oh, eating lettuce leaves, oh, don't tell me you're going for a run again, oh, you're always thinking about your diet, you're almost neurotic. And it's hard to pin things on them, but in fact these are aside, snide, undermining comments. So how do you actually deal with that? Well, this is difficult because what we are up against is this thing called the human ego. And the human ego is a fascinating thing because it says, hey, listen, I'm actually a good person. I'm actually doing my best here. I'm okay. I'm actually a nice person. My mum says I'm nice, my dad says I'm nice. And who are you to bloody tell me anyway who I am? So most people come from a position of I'm doing the best I can, and I'm doing the best I can based on what I know. So getting feedback, the ego is very defensive and wants to protect us. So how do we actually manage or deal with this? Because it is critical. And again, if you're a subordinate to the manager, how do you actually go about managing that situation? Well, if it is a form of upward management, that's difficult, of course, but the principles are similar and still the same. Point one would be to ask the question, do you want to get some feedback? If they are not interested in receiving feedback, it's hardly worth bothering about it. Step two is to say, if I'm a coach where I can actually get, and we're on equal fields, what we might call adult to adult conversation, mature conversation as distinct from parent-child conversation, I would actually say to the person, not only do you want some feedback, but if I give it to you, are you coachable? Because if you're not coachable, why would I bother giving you feedback? You also want the person to admit, yes, I am coachable, and yes, I do want feedback. The third part of this is, particularly when I'm talking to managers, is listen, when I give you the feedback, I don't want you to go on some kind of witch hunt. Who said that? Why did they say it? Right, I'm going to get those people that said that. So there needs to be a mature approach. I don't want a witch hunt if I go and give you feedback. I want you to take the feedback on board and use it to correct your behaviour, not go and try and chop heads off and go, don't ever say that to that person again, because that's what we would call an immature approach to. The other part of the feedback process is what, of course, we call the feedback sandwich, which is this. The actual piece of information I'm going to give you is in here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to sandwich it with positives. And I'm going to say, Bob, Mary, straight up, 95% of what you do is terrific. What I'm talking about here is 2%, 3%, 5%. So I don't want you to think that you as a person are bad. I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about this one or 2 pieces of behaviour that if you're interested in improving or becoming a better manager, a better leader, a better parent, a better footballer, soccer player, whatever it is, it's one particular piece of behaviour I'm talking about. So we say address the action, the behaviour, not the person. I know you're a good person. I know you're doing your best. And I know that 95 to 98% of what you do is terrific. I'm talking about this one piece of behaviour. First of all, the noise you make in the office. If you've got things to say to people, can you check? Breathe first. Speak more calmly. Yelling and screaming. Your emotions are getting in the way of the communication. How you say it is louder than what you actually say. That's all they remember. Close the door. What is the behaviour you want to correct that? Sexist behaviour. Just have a think about it. If you're a manager and you're talking about your sex life or your sexual intentions or what you do on a weekend, that will undermine your authority. It's not funny. It's not appropriate. You are a leader, not a person in the front bar of a hotel. Use of humour. If you have an issue with the person, sit down and have a discussion with them. Asides and snide comments, snide remarks are not the way. What we know is that it's a sarcasm is really suppressed humour, suppressed anger. If you're angry about it or not happy about it, sit down as an adult and say, this is what you're doing and this is how I feel about it. This is what I'd like you to do differently. But asides and snides are not the way to actually communicate, particularly as a manager. It says more about you than it does about the other person. So deal direct with the issue in a controlled adult way rather than asides and snides. Now, often just by raising the issue, just by raising this issue, the person goes, oh, well, I wasn't aware of the impact I'm having. Well, all behaviour has consequences, so, what do you want to do about it? But one, as I said, if you're coachable, let's do about it. I know you're doing a good job. I know that, you're a good person. That's not the issue. What I'm talking about is this behaviour, which is just not helping. And in addition, do not go on a witch hunt. Why did you say it? What made you say it? I mean, when a manager starts going back and going on what that was a witch hunt, that cuts down the communication channel. They're not going to give feedback. You're going to shut down the channel for improvement. And then, so finishing off on the positive, so what's the action we're going to take as a result of this? Let's agree on some steps, 1, 2, 3. Right, that's the action. Good. Let's agree not to have a witch hunt. If you want to go and apologise to the person or tell them you're not going to do it again, that's terrific. But please don't go and say, why did you say it? What made you say it? Don't ever say it again. Leigh came and told me off, or Bob came and told me off. I'm upset because now I've got this feedback. No, that is just immature and unproductive behaviour, and I wouldn't suggest you do that. As I say, mate, I'm so happy with 98% of what you do, but I'm talking here about helping you go to the next level, and that's an important point in itself. This is where you're at right now. This is the next level, and I want to help you go to the next level, because the team goes to the next level when you go to the next level. So what we're talking about here is dealing with not just feedback, but with sensitive feedback that's got heat in it. And this is my recommendation for how to deal with that situation. If you have other suggestions, I'd love to hear them. You can get hold of me at www.leighfarnell.com, leighfarnell.com, because feedback is the breakfast of champions. And, the ego will go through all of the phases of the grief curve. What am I talking about when I say the grief curve? The ego will go through all of these phases. There might be denial. There might be, then the next phase, anger. Then there might be bargaining. Oh, hang on, it's not that bad, that humour. Oh, I was only joking. That shouldn't really matter. Then it'll go through frustration and depression. Oh, man, after all I've done for those people, now they're bloody complaining about me. Oh, why do I even bother? Then acceptance. Okay, maybe it wasn't appropriate. Maybe I do need to learn from it. And then new worldview. Actually, you know what? As a result of that feedback, I've changed my behaviour. The relationship with that person is way better. I'm glad I did it. But of course, the crazy thing is, on this side, we're focusing on all the negative aspects of getting that feedback. And on this side, we're going, you know what? It's actually going to help me go to the next level. The name of the game is get to acceptance quickly. Denial, anger, bargaining, frustration, depression, they're natural, but move through to them quickly to get to this phase. Mate, if you're loud, you're loud. If you're sexist, you're sexist. Change your behaviour. Move on. You know, don't wallow around in here trying to make the other person wrong, even though sometimes that's a natural reaction. Move on from that as quickly as you can to here. Hope that's helped. Leigh Farnell signing off, helping you discover how you can be your best. See you soon.